All right. What do you say? Let's do this. So we covered the major configurations and the retrogrades last video, and I started to cover the current transits. We left off with what was happening on October 1st. Um, then it just got a little too long. I need to cut these videos shorter, and yeah. So where were we? We were talking about Moon conjunct Pluto, um, and the trine to Uranus, that minor triangle with the moon involved, and also Juno entering Sagittarius. And we left off on, that was October 1st. On October 3rd, we had Venus conjunct the South Node. Basically, it's like the feminine nature is focused on dealing with our karma with respect to health work, purity, service, innocence. And she's turning away from future karma in the moment to fix issues of the past. I also wanted to stick with the theme of October and do this video in the dark. October 4th, we had Pallas going direct in Aquarius. Pallas represents wisdom, judgment, and in Aquarius having to do with the age of Aquarius. So it went retrograde June 10th. Sorry, I was just reviewing. It went retrograde June 10th at 25 degrees of Aquarius. And so it's been in Aquarius for quite a while. And it went back all the way to 6 degrees of Aquarius, where it turned around and went direct on the 4th, so 2 days ago. And so now it's going through that third pass of Aquarius. And we're really being asked to focus on wisdom and judgment in society. And of course, as you've seen, um, it's been quite retrograde. What's going on in the world right now, especially in the United States, is just absolutely baffling. And yeah, we're having to review what is wisdom, what is judgment in society, and there's been very little shown, as you can see. Deep breath on that one. Today, October 6th, 8:47 p.m. Pacific time, we have the full moon, 14 degrees of Aries. This is like a full expose into the child's need to feel into the masculine warrior. Maybe it's time to protect the innocence of the child within and children in society. The full moon always affects the child within. The moon governs the child, and in Aries, it's like, you know, the masculine principle of being independent and conquering and battling and traveling. And so what does that feel like for the little child? It feels like the masculine is just running roughshod over our sensitive human nature right now. Everything just feels like an attack and a battle, and society is just so out of whack right now. So it could definitely feel like an assault on children and the child within. So just a note, side note, that I am just picking certain transits. I'm not going to try to cover them all. I tried to do that in a couple of videos, and it's just too much. And again, send me a message, send me an email if you'd like my full list of transits for the month that you can print out and track. it just gives you a little reflection on what is a good way to understand the energies that are happening out there, and how does it affect me, or my relationships, my family, my unit. Um, so on October 11th, 4:10 a.m. These are always Pacific time. We have Venus opposite Saturn. Now, this is part of kite formation. It's at 26 degrees 59 minutes, so basically 27 degrees. And Venus opposite Saturn, I'm kind of focusing the transits that I chose are focusing on the feminine, because I feel like that's just key to what is going on in society right now, is what is happening to the feminine these days. And so in this kite Venus opposite Saturn, um, it's it's kind of like the the hard lessons, the boundaries, the structure of society is just polarizing, just impacting the feminine right now. It feels like the feminine has no safe place in society right now. Um, I'm sure you can figure out why, but yeah. So on October 11th, and then Venus flips into Libra on October 13th. So it moves from Virgo, 26, 27 degrees of Virgo opposite Saturn. And then by the 13th, it's in Libra. So, as I said, after the roller coaster of the social impacts, both positive and negative, the feminine gets to come home to her appreciation of beauty and balance. Libra rules Venus, and so she gets to come home and really feel into what is the beauty of relationship or nature balance. And then later that day or that night, October 13th, 6:15 p.m., Venus is opposite Neptune. Now, you know about astrology that whenever there's a transit, you might feel it a couple of days before, a couple of days afterwards. I'm giving you the times and the dates of the exact um, when they're at the same degree, same minute of a sign. But you're going to see and feel the influence before and after. I oftentimes will feel transits the couple of days before they happen. My partner Tara and I, because we both study astrology, will look at the transits and be like, "Oh yeah, we're already feeling that one 2 days ahead of time." So just realize that that's a possibility, especially if you're sensitive. Hello, excuse me. Mm. So just after Venus goes into Libra at 0 degree 12 minutes, so not even the first degree um, of Venus in Libra, she is directly opposite Neptune, that's retrograde, and also that's part of the kite that I talked about in the previous video. I said now's the feminine's appreciation of beauty and nature gets interrupted by the disillusionment of the spiritual warrior, who is back to claim his independent spiritual pursuits. Um, yeah, opposite Neptune is kind of like, well, Neptune in Aries specifically. Neptune and Saturn have been doing this dance in Aries and Pisces together. And it's the Neptune piece is like, it's supposed to represent spirituality, but it's also like disillusionment, mysticism, the fog, you know, the fog of spirituality and mysticism. And Venus opposite would feel like, what is the mythical or mystical aspects to what society is going through with the craziness of the whole male dynamic right now and how that feels just polarizing and opposite from feminine principles. It's like the feminine principle is just out the door right now, and we're having to deal with the craziness of the masculine. Um, both those planets being in Aries, Saturn, and Neptune. So then on October 13th in the evening, 7:52 p.m., Pluto goes direct. So, Pluto moves really slow. It takes about 30 years to cover a sign. And it has just dipped into Aquarius. It's gone up to, I think, what is it, 3 degrees, 49 minutes. By May 4th, it was up to that much into Aquarius. And then it went retrograde back to 1 degrees, 22 minutes. So we're talking like 2.5 degrees. And then on the 13th, it's going to stop at 1 degree, 22 minutes and go forward again. So it's kind of like the third review, right? So we got to experience what does Pluto in the first 3 degrees of Aquarius feel like? What does it mean? Then we got to review that, feel it again, but more internally. And then now it's going to go forward and do the third pass of those first 3 degrees of Aquarius. I don't know about you, but when you look at what's happening in society, it's like Aquarius represents, kind of globalist nature of society. Everyone has purpose, everyone has a place, and there's the opportunity to work cooperatively, collaboratively to achieve a balanced, harmonious society. And that's all just been kind of thrown out the window. With Pluto, we're going into the underworld and dealing with all the power dynamics and darkness of society, excuse me, in the sense of, what power is doing to the United States right now and to the world. We've missed so many opportunities to do good in the world of recent. Excuse me, my neighbors are having a screaming party. Hmm. Sounds like singing or something, but anyways. Yeah, so it's a trip. Um, Pluto in Aquarius. There's probably 100 sites out there that have talked about what that means. And it's just interesting to look at the first couple of degrees of Aquarius having Pluto there. And we get to experience Pluto and Aquarius for the next basically 30 years. Whew, that was a thought. Wow. The transformation of society. But instead of Uranus would be like the up leveling and upgrading and energetic changes, shifts. Pluto's like, let's go into the darkness and pull it out and look at it and transform it. But doesn't feel like fun right now. Have more fun. That's my mantra. Creativity, self-expression, travel. Not really. Anyways, back to the astrology. Then on October 18th, 19th, we have Mercury and Mars coming together, and they're trining the North Node. And I talked about this in the last video because it's part of a wedge configuration. And our minds and our masculine nature selves is working with our evolutionary impulse to evolve and grow. God help so. I said help so, hope so, and help so. yeah, this is maybe like at which point other men in leadership might speak to what has been going on and how it's not part of our evolution, what's been going on. We've been devolving, not evolving. So then on October 21st, we have a new moon in Libra, 28 degrees. We get to experience the rebirth of focus on balance and beauty at the culminating degrees, the 28th degree of Libra. It's like an opportunity to create and experience new relationships and new relationship dynamics focused on balance. So Libra is like about harmony, harmony between people. How do people work together, get along, cooperate, and find balance in their relationships, in our relationships? Am I human? So new moon is a new focus, a new opportunity to look at kind of the child dynamic in Libra. So, looking at ourselves, it's like, what does my child in me, within me, need in relationship? What do my children, if I have children, need from their relationships? And it's a new opportunity to conduct that review or ask that question. Then on October 22nd, we have Neptune retrograde. It's been retrograde and it's going to go back into Pisces. So it went in Aries, turned around, went backwards. Yeah, on July 4th, it was at 2 degrees, 10 minutes of Aries. And then it went backwards. And it's going to go to 29 degrees, 22 minutes of Pisces. So literally just like the last degree, less than the last degree of Pisces. And that's going to happen on December 10th, that it'll stop being retrograde and then turn around at 29 degrees of Pisces and go forward again. So this is like our last foray of Neptune and Pisces. This won't happen in our lifetimes again. Neptune takes about 140 years to go around the zodiac, and even longer. It's like 14 years ish in each sign. So times 12. So this won't happen again in our lifetimes. And that Neptune will be in Pisces. And this is like us looking at that last glimpse of what that meant for Neptune to be in its sign. It'll leave Pisces completely on January 27th, 2026. And no more shall our spiritual nature be concerned with karma. Rather, we will be on the journey of disillusionment of the spiritual warrior experience from then on. Yeah, it would be interesting, wild to look at all the different websites that have talked about what does Neptune and Aries mean, right? And or what is Neptune and Pisces? What has that been like for the last 14 years? How does that ring true in our lives and in society? And then what is this Neptune in Aries for the next 14 years roughly gonna be like? It's wild when I've been putting together these transits, how many aspects look at like the spiritual warrior, or what does it mean to be masculine human on this planet these days. We're just getting the biggest mirror put up in front of us. It's crazy. Like, boys, you need to do some work. Then on same day, later that night, Sun enters Scorpio. And I said, whereas Mercury, Mars, and Lilith have all been traversing the underworld in Scorpio, now it's time for our collective awareness to figure out how to transform darkness into light, bring the underworld up to the light of day, and really deal with manipulation and the abuse of power. It's interesting that Mercury went into Scorpio, um, going into Scorpio on October 7th. Tomorrow, Mars went into Scorpio September 23rd, and Lilith went into Scorpio March 27th. So all three of those planets have been in Scorpio, and now the sun is going to go in there for a month. So the sun is always like the awareness planet. It shines a light on what's happening and just brings our attention to what is all this that's happening in Scorpio? What is this about? Again, deep, dark, underworld transformation, power, sexuality, manipulation, all that stuff. We're doing a deep dive right now into Scorpio. October 23rd, Jupiter square Chiron. So this is an opportunity for society and our personal social circles to feel into the wounded healing of the masculine warrior. Again, there's so much Venus and Mars stuff happening this month, or I shouldn't just say this month, like this whole year. The kite formations with Venus, and it's a lot. But this is another opportunity, like I said. Jupiter is like our social abundance, our social expansion, our friendships, our resources in friendship, in conflict with that healing of the masculine warrior. It's kind of like society is done with it. They're like, they are like done with this whole Chiron and Aries thing. And they're only at 24 degrees. So we still got a ways to go before Chiron gets out of Aries. But yeah, big wounded masculine healing going on right now. And it's been for a bit. October 24th, 6:24 a.m. Sun in Scorpio squares Pluto. At 1 degree 23 minutes of Scorpio for the Sun, 1 degree 23 minutes of Aquarius for Pluto. So it's like first degree stuff. What did I say? This first time feeling this dynamic in this particular configuration. So because Pluto takes so long to go through signs, we've never experienced Pluto in Aquarius, us that are alive, because it takes 240 years to go around the zodiac. So of course it hasn't been here in Aquarius for a while. So this is all new territory. And having the sun square Pluto in Aquarius is a whole new dynamic at the first degree. So this is our first time getting to experience this particular transit. The sun will loop around and do this many, many times before Pluto gets out of Aquarius, but this is the first time at 1 degree. It's called mutual reception because Pluto rules Scorpio, so the sun is in the sign that Pluto rules, and it evolves a square, so it's conflict. So our egos and our present moment awareness is in conflict with the deep, dark, profound transformation that is happening in society. Yet our awareness is focused on investigating and getting to the bottom of the truth. You know, Scorpios are all about the detective. It's all about investigation, going into the underworld, bringing to light the dark aspects of ourselves and society. Yeah, feels like we're doing it. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about this grand trine that's happening with Mercury, basically like the 24th to 29th of October. And on the 24th, Mercury trines Jupiter. Mercury's in Scorpio, Jupiter's in Cancer, 24 degrees. And then on the 25th, Mercury trines Saturn. And then on the 29th, Mercury trines Neptune. So Saturn and Neptune are together. Jupiter's over here trine everything, and Mercury it's a triangle, right? So there's Mercury is coming up to trine both Jupiter and Saturn, Neptune. And Saturn and Neptune are in a trine with Jupiter, right? So this is like, and Mercury's in Scorpio, so this is our minds, and the collective mind is taking that deep dive into Scorpio, looking at power dynamics, looking at manipulation, looking at the darkness of ourselves and society. And then it works cooperatively with Jupiter, social abundance. What does it mean to be social? And Jupiter's in Cancer, so it's like our social emotional reality, while being restricted by the power of karma. That's the Saturn part. So although Mercury is trine Jupiter, it's also trine Saturn. So both social dynamics are affecting our mind, and or our mind is trying to understand the abundance and the expansion of our social experience, as well as like the oppression and the rules and the restrictions of society. Then at the same time, Neptune's there with Saturn, and it's Saturn's at 26 degrees, Neptune's at 29. So there's kind of a progression of this happening. And although it's a grand trine, this second phase will be more of the triggering of the Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. So because Neptune has gone retrograde back into Pisces, Mercury on my birthday, the 29th, will trine Neptune at that 29th degree, almost 0 degree of Pisces. 0 degree of Aries. It's the 29th degree, 50-minute mark of Pisces. So this is a last-ditch effort to kind of understand spiritual karma and the delusions of the past. Yeah, lots happening. Again, email me, message me. If you want the full list of transits, and book me for a reading. I do classes. If you want to learn more about astrology, we can do a one-on-one class. I can do group classes, all kinds of possibilities. Tara and I both do readings together. We call a dual astrology reading. You get her perspective and my perspective at the same time. It's pretty intense. It can be overwhelming. That's why we record them. So you can go back and reflect, because in the moment it's like, oh my God, this is way too much information. Anyways, I'm going to beat the punch here and finish before 30 minutes. We're at 29:36 right now. Have a lovely day. Enjoy the darkness and the light. Aloha. Ciao. Auf Wiedersehen. Konnichiwa.